Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. Now, there's just one tiny piece of news. Most of this is just going to be the sort of final PSA about the Legend of Korra Patterns in Time release date ahead of the comic book store release date this week. Just first, the small thing is that this plate, which I talked about in my last video, the metal posters that had all the kind of promo art for Avatar with them. Interestingly, the official Twitter account responded to someone saying that, yes, there will be Legend of Korra disc plates at some point, but they will say it will take a bit of time. So it's just nice to get that confirmation. You know, I think the Avatar fandom, it felt like for the most part, discovered disc plates over the last couple of days. And people are, of course, wondering, where's the Avatar stuff, the Korra stuff? And now they're confirming there will be some. So that's cool. In my quote retweet, I said, please have Juan and Rava, of course, because that's one of the big ones that I'd be looking for, that I'd be straight away buying if they offered it. Of course, I'd probably want to get a Korra as well. And of course, I'd like to see them put up more Avatar stuff as well. And that's the kind of main thing. Like, they responded to me and said, we will pass it on. So hopefully this means that when they do put up the Korra stuff, we will maybe see quite a bit of variety of characters, including hopefully a Juan and a Rava and more. I did reply to them, and hopefully they saw this tweet as well, because I think I just wanted to, more than just request a bunch of specific things, I just kind of made the general point of, you know, Avatar and Korra fans just like to see a good variety of characters and designs. For example, in your Avatar stuff, you have 2 Katara images or posters available. Both of them are of her in her season 1 design, versus Zuko, who has 8 designs you can choose from across multiple outfits and designs. So you get book 1 Zuko, book 3 Zuko, there's even some book 2 Zuko in there, yet the 2 Kataras are both book 1 Katara. So you don't even get a book 2 Katara, let alone a book 3 one, or anything like that. And that is a thing that I think a lot of the companies sort of fall into, is just that maybe it works from a marketing perspective, but I think a lot of them, I don't think, have almost tried to have a little bit more variety, and so it's hard to judge, you know, what is and isn't a success. So just the idea of variety. And while I think they had some decent variety in the Avatar selection, it was sort of notable that, like I said, there was 8 of the, I think, 39 or so designs or something like that. 8 of them are Zuko. I think there's a similar amount of Aangs, and most other characters only get 1 or 2 or maybe none at all. So I think people did notice that, say, Katara and Sokka as like main characters, there really wasn't much of a variety with them. But anyway, that's just the disc plate stuff. Again, with the Legend of Korra Patterns in Time, what I really just want to get across here, so everyone is aware of this going into this week, is that this week, November 30th, is the release date of this book in comic stores and comic stores only. So you can see this by the fact that the 2 places that you'll typically find that have this book listed for November 30th are Previews World, which is, of course, for comics, and it's like related to Diamond distribution and stuff like that. And of course, the Dark Horse website itself, which, them being a comic publisher, of course, used the comic book store release date. So this is where we have our November 30th date, which you will note is a Wednesday. Comic stores always release their comics on Wednesdays. That's why that is the significance of the 2 dates that are present here. Because if you look on other websites, like say Amazon, and you see December 20th is the publication date, obviously Amazon sells comics, but they are not technically a comic shop. They just treat it as a book, and so it has this Tuesday release date of December 20th. Now, this is because, according to Dark Horse, and you can see this on another website as well, the distributor for bookstores, which I believe is Random House, have had some delays, I think. And that's why it has been specifically pushed back for bookstores, but not for comic stores. Diamond, the comic distributor, has not seemingly had these shipping delays, and so that's why there is such a big difference between them. So you can see this is Barnes & Noble. They also say December 20th. Edelweiss, which I often refer to as like a good place to get these bookstore release dates, also once again have December 20th. So just keep that in mind, that if you want the book this week, you have to get it from a comic shop. It won't even be available digitally this week. As you can see here, Apple Books, for example, December 20th. That is when the digital release goes live. So that is obviously this unfortunate thing, that it is going to create a little bit of this kind of mixed sort of release here, where some people will get it this week, some people will have to wait until the middle of December for it, and it's a bit of a frustrating thing for the book that is the only new release of the year, and the only new Korra thing for the most part in the year as well, because Korra hasn't had that much going on either. So again, just to recap once again, comic stores, November 30th, this Wednesday. That's when it's going to be out. Everywhere else, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other bookstores and so on, even digital, December 20th is when you're going to have to wait until. And just so you're aware, if you guys don't know, if you have a local comic book store, there are things you can do. If you go to the Free Comic Book Day website, for example, you can find a shop. This is how you find a participating comic shop, but it will be a good way to find a comic shop near you. And it does have one for, outside of North America as well, which works, I think, okay. And it's just up to you, again, to find if you have a comic store in your area. Obviously, I don't really know what comic stores have websites that would ship it out to you for this week. That's, again, more of a thing where, find a place that kind of suits you. But that is the situation. And again, it is different. And this is why it is a bit confusing, because we've not had to deal with the split release date for quite a while with these comics, because usually it is basically the book comes out. Like if this was a normal release, the idea is that the book would actually be out tomorrow everywhere and digitally, and then November 30th for comic book stores. So its release dates would be November 29th and 30th, but it's been pushed back to be November 30th first for comic stores and December 20th elsewhere. And you can see that in the next upcoming release after Patterns in Time, which is the Chibi comic. It has a regular bookstore release date of the 31st of January 2023, which is a Tuesday. But if you look on the Dark Horse website, it's February 1st, so it's the day afterwards. That's the way these books have typically gone, is that it's just one release on the Tuesday and immediately the following day. That's the way it is most of the time. We will see if the delays continue to happen for the books and their mass market date going forward. But right now, as you can see, they have not changed what's happening with this book, and it is only a January release, so we're not even too far away from this. But just, in a way, just going forward, I think it's important to, again, realize there are two release dates for these books, and just to kind of keep track of it on both sides. Because Dark Horse, I think, seemingly struggle with, I think, communicating to people that this is the case. And having covered this a lot on my channel over the years, covering news all the way from when the comics first started coming out to now, the split release date thing has always been a bit of a confusion, because when the Avatar comics were first coming out, they had this weird thing that was, I guess, was sort of normal, that they moved away from, which was that the books would always release in the comic book stores first, and then you have to wait basically 2 weeks or 13 days for the mass market date. And that was always a big frustration about do you get the book first, but basically have a sort of limited group of people to discuss it with, versus discussing with everyone at the overall release date. And that is why, if at all possible, I think everyone would prefer it just have the 1 day separated release date thing. That way it's just available to everyone at the same time. Where even if you have ordered it for the comic book store release date a day afterwards, the digital is still available to you at midnight, basically. Midnight Monday going into Tuesday. So that's always a kind of fun thing. And then the final thing I just want to talk about is hopefully, again, I will be able to get Patterns in Time on Wednesday from my local comic book store. If I can, I will do a full spoiler review for this. Obviously, I've already done an early review because I got a review copy. Again, if you're wondering why I need the book to do that, even though I have a review copy, the review copy you're going to get access to for a month. And so because I got the review copy in like September, pretty much in like early October, I didn't have access to the book anymore at all. So it's been a while since I've read it, and I don't want to do a discussion just off memory of stuff from like, you know, a month or two ago. So that's why I need the book to kind of look at it again. And, you know, there's always a little bit of something to have the physical book in hand and see what the presentation is actually like. That way I can sort of like show off a little bit on camera and stuff like that. And then the final thing is just that, obviously, because this is the first time we've had a proper like new release comic in a while, I do want to do a live stream discussion about this book as well. Now, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to wait until the December release date, so the overall release date of the book, and do it closer to then. Now, because of the timing and how late in the year this is, I usually do my live streams on the weekend, so either Saturday or Sunday. The way it works out kind of weirdly this year is that means that the week that this book comes out, the weekend is basically Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, so I don't think I'll be able to do it then. The following week, it's December 31st and January 1st, so New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And obviously, like, okay, I'm maybe leaning towards New Year's Eve is maybe when I will do it, just because I'm not sure a middle of the week live stream is going to necessarily be the best thing. But again, let me know in the comments below what way you think I should do this, which dates do you think would work better to do this, or might it just be better to wait until like properly, you know, the first week of the new year and do it then maybe. But we'll have to wait and see. It's just that's the sort of awkwardness about it releasing so late into the year. So just again, the recap is obviously Displates, Korra 1's confirmed, but it might be a while, and then just Patterns in Time this week, this Wednesday, in comic stores, December 20th everywhere else, including digital. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are, and especially like ahead of just a few days away from Patterns in Time. How excited actually are you for this book? Now that we're actually here on more or less the eve of the release, how are you feeling going into it? That this year has not, apart from one free comic book day short story, what are your thoughts going into the one new comic release of the year? Are you actually excited for it, or are you worried that this won't really live up to the hype of basically being the only release of the year? So let me know what your expectations are for Patterns in Time. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.